Welcome back, all our 40k fanatics out there. I'm DJ.
And I'm Lane.
And we're here with Tim's Nation to bring you another Warhammer 40k battle report. And first and foremost, keen eyes in our battle report videos may have noticed something a little different. Maybe the table seeming a little higher, maybe the camera angle seeming a little different. And so I want to address the elephant in the room. And by elephant, I mean literal elephant. We have a new gaming table.
It's elephant-sized, I think. You guys can't see that in this shot, but it's...
oh, no, I'll throw a picture up there.
I'm sure there's going to be some pictures up there, yeah. I'm sure DJ has plenty of pictures.
This table is 8 foot long. Plenty of room on both sides for all of our extra little equipment. I actually have 2 separate dice trays set up there. I'm even getting dice out there so that some people, when they come over, all they have to do is bring an army. And in fact, we're getting to a point where there's enough armies up there that someone could just come over. They don't even need to bring an army.
Right.
Just here. We have the army. I have the dice. Just come over and play. That's going to be the next phase of it.
You're the loners.
There you go. But this table, thank you, from the workshops of Anthony Speisel. He brought this bad boy over. We set this up, carried it in the basement. That was terrifying because the top half is much heavier than the bottom half. And it literally barely shimmies into this room. It was quite the endeavor.
Yeah, it's like a bed, but not soft.
Exactly. I mean, this thing is basically...
doesn't go around corners very well.
I'm pretty sure this thing's the size of a pool table.
Yeah.
But it's got nice lifts on the side for dice. Like I said, we have plenty of room on both sides. You'll probably see throughout the game. We have a lot of room on the sides where we can place our models that are destroyed, place books, place everything out there, and have these things out there, and hopefully at sometimes bring you guys a little bit extra new content. We don't know fully, but there is a lot more room to be able to add to this battle report content.
So much room for activities.
Speaking of activities, we're here to play Warhammer. And actually what's interesting is I think this is the first time in a while we're both hitting each other with heavy hitting lists. Lists that have prominent detachments and strength in the current meta that we have. I mean, we do have both kind of rough drafts going, but these are 2 detachments and 2 armies that actually have a very strong presence in the current meta. And that is Starshatter for the Necrons. And what's it called?
Well, we're running DeathWatch, but in the Librarius Conclave. And
this is not just a Lane loves DeathWatch, so Lane's just going to run DeathWatch.
I mean, that too.
There is actually a couple of things that make this very interesting for a general build. One of the things we were discussing is the fact that most Terminators are very vanilla and generic, aside from Grey Knights that have an apothecary, Death Shroud, which are just ridiculously cheap for what they can do, and now DeathWatch Terminators. Talk a little about that.
Yeah, so I wanted to run the DeathWatch in the Librarius because you can put a DeathWatch for 180 points. You get 5 Terminators that have 3 heavy weapons, and so I've been running Cyclones on those. Each Cyclone gets 2 shots with a missile, either a frag or crack. Today we're going into a bunch of vehicles and mounted units, so it's probably going to be the crack missiles. But that means a 5-man Terminator gets 6 crack missile shots. And then they also punch, as Terminators do in combat. They can be a little disappointing sometimes if they go into a non-oath target, because with 3 punches, you miss with 1, you miss 1 wound, your opponent makes an armor save, maybe they don't do a whole lot. But in taking the divination discipline here in Librarius Conclave, they'll have a Terminator Librarian with them that gives them sustained shooting and fighting. And during the divination discipline, they will reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound, which just makes them very efficient. At least a lot more efficient than what they were before.
Right, and you almost can, I mean, it's not perfect math, but those 6s that you get for the sustain will probably wash out any 2s that you hit during that reroll process.
Basically, they should hit with every shot they take.
Yeah, because of the sustain on top of the rerolls. Yeah, definitely. And that puts them kind of at that different... But the other thing is the reroll charge. They reroll charges.
Yeah, the Terminator, the DeathWatch Terminators reroll their charges. They make you take a battle shock when I complete a charge because you're Xenos. You got to take it at -1. So it's just a stack of pretty decent rules. And of course, the Terminator Librarian himself has a decent psychic attack and a decent combat attack. So he just adds that on to the unit and benefiting from those abilities.
But that's something that a lot of Terminators lack right now, is that secondary ability that really makes them the one of 2 things.
Very few of them shoot at all.
And that's the other kicker, is that you have access to more guns on your guys. And having that access to more guns, and you don't even sacrifice the power fist is the best part.
Right.
You're not you don't lose your combat weapon where some other units lose a combat weapon when they start going in.
I mean, they still have storm bolters too. So
that too, yeah.
Yeah, there's still 3 storm bolters, and 2 of the guys are assault marines with Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, so they get the extra wound just to make them a little more durable. So it's a pretty decent little package there. Hopefully this detachment makes them a little bit more stronger.
Well, I think we've started off pretty well in talking about the armies. We probably should just segue right into that and keep going with it. But this is definitely a rough draft for both of us, with lists that, honestly, if they go well with tweaking, these are lists that we would potentially take to a GT. And I don't think we've had a matchup like that in a while, so this should be really interesting. All in all. All right, Lane, let's talk about it. What do you got?
All right, so if you want to know more detail about all the units and the detachments we're using and how we plan to use them in-game, please go check out our separate army list videos where we go through that in a lot more detail. But I'm going to run through it pretty quickly for you here. So today we are using 2,000 points exactly of DeathWatch in the Librarius Conclave detachment. So a couple little proxies here because, guys, I don't have 6 librarians, or 5. I guess I don't have 5 librarians yet. So we, first of all, for our characters, we do have 1 Watchmaster and we have 1 combi weapon lieutenant, the lone op lieutenant. Then we do have 3 regular Marine librarians. I'm using 2 chaplains here today as librarians, and I'm using a Phobos librarian as a regular librarian. That one will have the enhancement Fusillade. And then I have 2 of the Terminator librarians. Sorry, guys, not painted yet. If they do well today, then they'll get some paint. They got to earn that paint. Then, of course, we've got 2 5-mans of the DeathWatch Terminators. Then we have 2 10-mans of the Fortis kill teams. We do have 1 10-man of the Stern Guard. We do have 1 10-man of the Deathwatch Veterans. I've got a 5-man of Assault Intercessors with jump packs. And we've got 1 Rhino for the Deathwatch Vets to ride around in, and 2 drop pods. DJ, what are you bringing today?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Starshatter arsenal that I'll be playing today. So I've talked back and forth on it, where I said I can understand why people would run the king. And at first I was hesitant, but I've seen the data, so let's give them a try. We are bringing the Silent King. We have 2 Doomsday arcs, 9 Locust Heavy Destroyers, 3 with Exterminators, 3 with the Gauze Destructor, 2 Spiders in a unit, Catacomb Command Barge, Canoptic Reanimator, a single Locust Lord, 2 3-mans of the Ophidian Destroyers, and of course, what Necron list would not be complete?
Don't do it.
Without Lane's best friend.
Don't say it.
The Psychomancer.
No.
So for enhancement, I did take 3 enhancements. It's a big thing. I'm investing a lot into that right now. The Catacomb gives me the reroll 1s to hit and wound.
Yeah, that's bonkers. That's good. Is that like really cheap too?
No, 25.
Oh,
25.
Okay.
So it's got a price
It's
tag
worth
on it.
25 points.
Might even be 30. 1's 30, 1's 25, and then 1's 10. The 10.1 is the one on the Psychomancer. I can fall back and shoot with the vehicle. What's nice about that is I use it during the movement phase, so I can fall back with the vehicle and move the Psychomancer to them and advance if necessary.
Yeah.
So I like that for that. It was only 10-point enhancement. I was taking the Psychomancer anyway, so I like to mess with you with him. You know, his space magic.
At this point, you got to take him just to bother me.
Yeah. I mean, but I really do like him a lot. He can help me zone out areas, do secondaries and stuff like that in the backfield. And again, he can be game breaking sometimes with that battle shock. And then last is a very interesting enhancement, and it's going to be on my Locust Lord.
Okay.
And that's I target a unit within 6 inches in the command phase that is a mounted or vehicle, and -1 damage. Huge, and it's a unit.
You don't have any big units you put that on, which
right. No, there's no like Silent King giant vehicle.
No, man.
So yeah, in previous lists I've talked about with Angron and the big guys, how I feel like we've talked about how it's like Angron either wins you the game or loses you the game. And I felt that way with a lot of big units. I've seen Magnus. Nico's had a lot of success with Magnus. But the Silent King just felt slightly under. I felt like he was too much of a beacon. And then when we had some games where you were able to damage or remove him early, it significantly reduced my output and kind of put me on a back foot for the rest of the game.
Yeah, with a high damage output army, you do have to hide him. Otherwise, he will get wrecked. I mean, there's so much high damage output now that if he pokes his head out, he might lose it.
Now with this, he may be more resilient, to a point of resiliency that it doesn't matter.
Because in addition to the -1 damage ability you can put on him, you have the
-1 to wound strats.
Right.
And I believe it's the mini transhuman, so it's if your strength is higher than my toughness. But all the big high damage guns, now we're bringing those down to 4 to wound, and then -1 damage if I want to kick it over there to him. Spider's giving him a 6-up, feel no pain, might slow some stuff down a bit.
Yeah.
And then losing damage pips just to take out the rocks before you even get to him. So very, very interesting. And then Doomsday Arcs.
Yeah.
Doomsday Arcs are going to be a big part of this game. Locust Heavies won't have as much play. They'll be resilient. They'll be hard to kill. But the Locust Heavies don't have as many targets per se, while the Doomsday Arcs, if they can draw a line of sight on one of those squads, it's going to be nasty. D6+1 shots, blast, 18, AP4.
So strength 18.
Strength 18.
I hate Necrons.
Strength 18, AP4, flat 4 damage.
All right, I got some inbounds today, too. I've got inbounds today, too, with all my librarians out there. I got a lot of 4-up inbounds.
If I sit still, it's devastating wounds.
All right.
I think that's everything for it, though.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that is it's interesting. I mean, I haven't been fond of the Silent King, but I see the data come in. I can't ignore it. You know, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, I have to at least run it and either get a definitive, no, I don't like this, or yeah, I see why this is super strong. But
we'll put them to the test today.
We are going to put them to the test today because you do have some anti-vehicle and anti-monster hate. You got some guns, you got some dudes. I'm running big stuff, you're running tiny stuff. Odd or even?
I am running tiny stuff. Even.
And it is odd. Do you have any infiltrators?
I have one combi weapon lieutenant who can infiltrate.
Okay, I don't have any, so I don't know why I bothered asking you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can deploy first.
Yay.
And we'll be back after deployment. All right, we are deployed. Look at that. Look at this big, beautiful table.
So much room.
All this room. Look at how much supplies Lane's able to
Look how long it takes me to walk from one end to the other.
Right, just
like, oh, man.
Gonna get our exercise in with this. All right, so Lane, since you walked all the way over there.
I gotta go back to the cards.
Walk all the way back to the other side. What are we doing here today?
We are playing the glorious game of Warhammer 40,000. Our deployment is Hammer and Anvil, which on deployment, this terrain setup makes for an interesting lack of shooting lanes. So, anyways, our mission rule today is prepared positions. Battle line units can use go to ground or heroic intervention for 0 CP. I think you don't have any battle line.
I have 0 battle line units.
I have 1 DeathWatch veteran squad, which counts as battle line. So, and then our primary mission is vanilla 40K. Take and hold. 5 points for each objective you control, up to 15 each turn.
All right. So for deployment, I have everybody on table. Ophidians are able to pick up, so they're going to start the game on the table and just help me zone out from some of Lane's silly drop pod shenanigans. Otherwise, we're kind of set up in the center so we can go any which direction. There's a hole in this terrain, so we have places to go and ways to move through. Now, although Lane says that there is not any firing lanes, there are a couple of firing lanes, and I have these Doomsday Arcs kind of set up on it, so I can cross the center over here, as well as this Doomsday Arc, which is able to move into position and go cross center over here. The Locust Heavies with the Gauze Destructors are not really a strong unit into a lot of Lane's army, so we're going to use their durability to kind of just zone out. Although the Exterminators actually are very, very useful going into lane stuff. So we'll see how they fare here today. Other than that, that's about it for me right now. Catacomb Command Barge back there to give some buffs. Lane, what do you have?
Let's get a little bit of stuff on the table right now. Not a whole lot. Because, of course, we've got 2 drop pods. And as we know, drop pods, for the drop pods themselves and what's embarked in them, you ignore the limits for the amount of points, the number of units you can have in Deep Strike. So on the table, I do have one Fortis kill team, of course, led by a Librarian. He's up there, but he's actually on the bottom floor. We do have the Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, the Lone Op Lieutenant ready to go forward.
Also on bottom floor.
Yep. And then we got some jump back intercessors ready to go up here and get an objective. And of course, the DeathWatch vets with the Watchmaster and the Rhino ready to go out and cause trouble.
Now, there was 2 other models we didn't talk about on the table.
Oh, these poor schmoes. Yeah, so drop pods have a transport capacity of 10 because GW really wants to make transports for Space Marines difficult to use. So when you attach a character to a unit, basically what I'm doing is I'm paying for 10 guys in the squad, but I'm taking 9. So I could type it on the app that I'm taking a 9-man squad, and it'll be the points value of a 10-man squad. But yeah, because we have to fit that character in there too. We've got a couple guys that are just going to cheering on from the sidelines here, just cheering on their guys, emotional support, watch over my dice rolls, that sort of thing.
Don't worry, I'll send them some friends here real soon. So in this matchup, do you want to go first or second?
Sure. I think, with the probably second. Makes rapid ingress interesting. I have stuff up in Deep Strike, but yeah, either one. I'm fine either way.
Yeah, likewise. I can reposition and just get myself into stronger areas on the field if I go first, and then going second, being able to counter move with certain stuff would be nice. All right, let's let the dice decide. Oh, looks like I will be going first. Lane, do you have any scout moves?
Nope.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play the game. So going first leads to a very simple turn 1. I drew Assassinate and Extend Battle Lines. So I'm going to pitch Assassinate for a command point, and otherwise we just kind of moved into position. Just kind of got the Doomsday Arc into that firing lane that I wanted, brought the Locust Heavies up to get them on offense into some infantry as they try and come across the field. Left these guys back here to zone out and protect my backfield. And then we gave the Silent King -1 damage and then moved him into just a little bit of better position. Doomsday Arc up to do the same thing, and then Locust Heavies in position right around to draw a line of fire into the center as well. So again, not very much activity in this turn, just kind of position ourselves. These guys are going to give me the objective for Extend Battle Lines. So we'll score that, and again, pitch Assassinate and pitch the turn to Lane.
So for this turn, I pulled Establish Locust and Bring It Down. And man, any other turn in this game, Bring It Down would be great. But right now, all those vehicles are hiding from me. And I can't drop in there. There's no room for me to drop a drop pod in and blast something. So, man, Bring It Down, just teasing me here by being a first turn pull. Establish Locust, also not a great one. But I will score that because we're going to drop a drop pod in here. And he's touching that with his fin, so he's going to be able to establish a Locust there. And then this Fortis kill team came piling out of here, and them and the Librarian are going to shoot these guys, do a little zap in there, my oath target. These are the ones that shoot a ton of shots when they get close to me, and I don't like that at all, not one bit. I'm more concerned about that than I'm about the high damage, high AP single shots or fewer shots, because I do have 4 involves on most of my army. These guys get 36 shots when they're in rapid fire range, and I don't want to see that.
And sustained.
Yep. So these guys are going to go and do some shooting. Maybe they'll kill 2. Maybe hoping for 2. All right, so all are shooting there. Did all right, except DJ made a lot of saves. Did get 2 of those guys. And when you're playing Necrons, that means you didn't really kill anything. So yeah, one of those guys will come back when he reanimates and put him on that objective. Although I don't know what your OC is, because my drop pod is OC2. I don't think you can take that objective if you want to.
I'm OC3. So what I did was...
These guys are OC3?
So what I did was I moved over here. So now I'm within 6 inches of the Catacomb Command Bar. It should go +1 OC. So when I put the guy on here, I'll be OC3.
Cool. Say it with me together, guys. We hate Necrons. All right. Scored 2 for establishing Locust in the midden objective. And then we'll go from there.
This turn is Defend Stronghold and Area Denial. So, sadly... I moved the Locust up here, and my plan was to run the Reanimator up there, pop the Resorb, full squad, shooting into these guys, and Lane overwatched me and did more damage in the Overwatch than he did in the shooting phase. So my -1 damage on him and everything is kind of a little bit of a waste. So now it's just the Locust Lord there. Now, as far as other things and what we're going to do to answer back, the Doomsday Arc can easily shoot at this pod that's on an objective marker, doesn't need to move, and he's just going to hit it really, really, really hard at its stupid face. This one also has a firing lane and 72-inch range, and is going to hit them in their stupid faces for beating my Locust heavies up.
I don't think DJ liked the results of that.
These guys are coming out over here. They can shoot at the this transport, this Rhino, if need be, which will probably be. And then we have one Locust Heavy that was able to make it around, so he'll be able to shoot into this. And then these two would only be able to really shoot at the drop pod if that's what's left, if it's left alive after the Doomsday Arc. So basically, this drop pod's going away. We're going to try and hit these guys too, and hopefully make a Rhino disappear. All right, let's shoot. Not quite what I wanted to see happen out of that turn of shooting. So we shot at the kill team, and we only picked up 2, and that was because of the devastating wounds from a stationary Doomsday Arc. Obviously, the drop pod went away, considering that I had too much on that thing. And unfortunately, I was not able to pick up the Rhino, leaving it with just 4 wounds remaining, and was not able to get the guys onto the field. We did score, though. We did score pretty good. We scored area denial, and we're continuing to defend Stronghold. We're going to kick it over to Lane and see what he decides to do in return.
So I kept bringing it down because I got to kill some vehicles at some point, even though I know DJ could make it kind of tricky for me. And I pulled extend battle line, so extend, easy peasy. Bring it down. We'll see if we can get a couple little vehicles. Obviously, it would have been great if I could pick up a bunch of big vehicles, but it's not going to happen. So we're going all in on this turn, bring it all on the table, going hot. So Catacomb Command Barge, oathed him, brought in the Stern Guard here with a Librarian with a Fusillade enhancement. So hopefully we'll kill him. He's going to get a feel no pain from these cheeky little spiders here. Blah, blah, blah. Who knows? I'm outside of rapid fire range, but still going to be 20-some shots coming in there. So hopefully that does pretty good. These Fortis Kill Team moved up here and you can see out here. So they're going to be able to shoot at things. These Terminators dropped in. I wanted to reinforce my home field objective here because I have a guy here for... I have the Lieutenant with Combi Weapon here, but I want to put the Terminators on here just in case some Ophidians picked up, came down, made a 9-inch charge. I want to have a problem for them. And they can shoot at these destroyers here. These Fortis guys stepped up, and they can shoot at something. The Rhino scooched in there. The Watchmaster and his DeathWatch veterans, they came out hard, ready for business here. I rolled a 2 on my advance for them, and used the Watchmaster's ability to re-roll that and rolled a 6. So they are going far. Who am I going to go at? I could go at the Silent King for funsies. I could go at the Doomsday Arc. Who knows? Who knows what I decide to do? I'm going to try to kill as much as I can here. Of course, the Jump Intercessors came forward, got overwatched. One of them got picked up. They're going to go for the Psychomancer, because I hate the Psychomancer. So they're going to go for him. Yeah, we've got Terminators here to shoot downtown. I got a lot of targets. It's just going to depend on what does any actual killing. So we're going to roll it all out. So we did some shooting. My dice were ice cold, though. Still managed to get damage through. Ridiculously, I had 3 Librarians that I went hazardous on. All 3 of them failed their hazardous rolls, rolling so many ones, and only made 1 of the 4 feel no pains on all 9 of those wounds taken on Librarians. So that was hilarious. So we did, though, shoot this guy in the middle. Shot 2 of these guys away. Shot 2 of those guys away. Shot the Catacomb Command Barge. So the dev wound guys, the squad rolled pretty poorly. Even on 5-up dev wounds with full rerolls to hit and wound, only got 5 through. But the Librarian himself got the final 6 through, and it was able to pick him up. Got real lucky on the Librarian rolling hot there, making up for some cold dice. So we picked up the Catacomb Command Barge. Did a couple wounds to the Reanimator. DJ spent 1 CP to move him there to kind of block me a little bit.
Forcing him to have to multi-charge, and then when he multi-charges, he's going to have to base whenever possible. So it pulls some guys onto the Reanimator, it pulls some guys off the King.
Sure. So now we're going to do a little bit of charging. So we'll see if we can make this charge here, see if we can get in there, see if we can get in here. Yeah, maybe I'll charge the Rhino at that dude there just to tie him up so he can't do stuff. All right, we'll do a little charging and fighting. Kind of hilarious how things have gone because my dice have been ice cold this turn, but still, like, I'm killing stuff. So hilariously, the Rhino charged in. I spent 1 CP to tank shock, took 3 wounds off this guy, and then did finish him in combat. The Rhino got 1 wound through, so I did finish that destroyer. This squad picked up this destroyer pretty handily because they are Fortis, and he was 1 guy left, so he was below full strength and below half strength. So they were rerolling 1s to hit and wound because the Librarian, and we're in that discipline. And then they're getting +1 to hit and wound because they're Fortis DeathWatch kill teams. So that went pretty well. The Jump Processors finished off the Psychomancer because I don't like that guy. No more Battle Shock test from him. Did fail pretty hard here. We made our charge in, skunked like 1 wound off the Reanimator, and only took 7 wounds off here. That was the Watchmaster and 4 Deathwatch Thunderhammers. Rolled pretty bad on my hit rolls and wound rolls. Still got a few wounds through. Obviously did some damage there. But yeah, would have liked to pick that thing up. But can't complain too much. Did a lot of damage on the table, just picking up a lot of smaller units. Still have a pretty good game here because DJ does have Ophidians that can score pretty well. But let's see what he does next. So extend battle lines, I scored and bring it down. I got 4, no, just 2-4 because I just killed 1 vehicle, which was the command barge to fail to kill another vehicle. So 2 on bring it down and 5 for extend.
So for this turn, the game really wants me to take an objective from lane. That's easier said than done. Can't really get anybody over here, not even with the Ophidians. And we're kind of backing off over there as we move the Doomsday Arc and are trying to kind of get a little bit of distance between that mob of guys over there until we can shoot some of them down. We did pick up the Ophidians, and because of overwhelming force and storm hostile objectives, we just put them back here to hold this in case these guys are unable to pick up the Marines. They should be able to. 2 damage weapons, and we're going to pop their plasma sight. But, I mean, hey, it could happen. Over here, whew. So we stayed in combat. Reanimator did help, so we got this guy back up to 11 wounds, and he's back up to full. We're going to shoot the flares here. We're going to shoot the Doomsday Cannon at the Stern Guard. We're going to shoot the Spiders at these guys.
Fortis skill team.
Thank you. The King, I'm not 100% sure with yet. I probably am going to shoot at the Fortis kill team over here a little bit, and then I might shoot his indirect somewhere else, depending on how things go. And then he's going to charge in to help finish off and get the Deathwatch kill team out of here. So that's the plan over there. And that's kind of the plan for the turn. So first, let's shoot and see if we can't pick up some Deathwatch. So shooting-wise, Doomsday Arcs are not doing too well this game. I'm not really able to roll hot on the shots or get anything above I have not gotten above 3 shots on the dice with these guys yet. Yet being the operative word, because we're still looking at a good position, and we should be able to get this guy out of combat when the King comes in a whooping and a walloping. So we only picked up, I think we picked up 2 guys out of there and damaged 1 with the Gauze Flares and the Reanimator, so that's kind of where we're at for them. Spider shot, and we're only able to pick up, did they get anybody out of there? I think they got 1 dude, didn't they?
Yeah, they killed 1 guy. Yeah, 1 guy died, 1 guy took a wound.
And they'll charge into them. They lost 3 to the Silent King shooting at them, just softening them up a bit, and then shot over here. Probably should have just put more into these guys, honestly, to try and pick them off, but we'll see what happens. We got some charges to do. All right, so we're starting to get ourselves out of this situation, but we still got some more work to do. I wasn't able to do quite as much damage to this fire base over here this turn. Hopefully I don't get wrecked for it. We did pick up the squad, so just the Librarians here from the Spider Assault, and the King picked up most of the squad, remaining in combat with 1 of his rocks. They punched and dropped the arc back down to 7 wounds. So that's kind of where we sit right now. Oh, and then over here, I decided not to pop the plasma sight, and I also remembered to actually put the plasma sights out with these guys, just because of the flat 2 damage. So he's got 1 dude left. Not too worried about that now. You know, if he wants to try to fall back or do anything, I should be able to pick him up shortly. So, all right, we pitched we pitched overwhelming force for a command point. We're going to keep Storm hostile because that one's a little bit easier to score. We just got to flip an objective back, and eventually Lane's going to have to start getting on these objectives. So, all right, over to him.
So for this turn, I pulled Cleanse and Area Denial. So Drop Pod is going to do Drop Pod business by cleansing this objective here. And then Area Denial, we got some guys on the objective here just from the remainder of the Stern Guard. The Fortress Kill Team moved up, but they're not touching the objective. We oathed the Spiders. I did not move this Librarian here. We're just going to shoot the Spiders because they're vehicles. If I move them and I shoot them, he can spend 1 CP to move the vehicle unit on the objective and make things more difficult for me. So I'm just going to keep them there. That way, if I don't kill them, at least they won't be able to move. It's going to be a little bit harder to hit them, but I did oath them, so full rerolls to hit. So, yeah, that's about it.
And you fell back with the DeathWatch over here.
Fell back with the DeathWatch vets and the Watchmaster, because there's 1 DeathWatch vet left, so they'll be able to do their stuff there. I'm going to do a little shooting. So we started by oathing these Spiders that were there. And the Stern Guard shot into them. Remember, they have the enhancement on the Librarian that gives them anti-vehicle 5-ups. Didn't do very well, even with the rerolls hit and wound. I did not fall back this Librarian because I did not want DJ to move on to this objective. Because if I shot him, he could move on to it. And if I failed to kill it, it would screw up my Area Denial. So I kept that Librarian there. So we were hitting on 4s. Stern Guard rolled pretty cold in the number of dev wounds, but the Librarian came through with 6 odds on his dev wounds. And we were able to pick up 1 of the Spiders and get another one, a couple wounds off. Then the Cyclone Terminators were able to pick up the 2nd Spider in their shooting. And what we did then, this Librarian threw his Psychic Grenades. I forget what the strat is called, but I'm always going to call it Psychic Grenades, to take a couple wounds off the Canoptic Reanimator. That meant that the Fortress Kill Team was now getting +1 to hit them, re-rolling 1s to hit and wound because of this Divination Discipline that's active, meaning they were able to shoot down the Canoptic Reanimator. The Watchmaster and his buddy fell back, but remember the Watchmaster's leading a squad, and there's 1 guy left from that squad. He can fall back, shoot, and charge. So they fell back. He shot and successfully took 2 wounds off the Doomsday Arc. So he's down to what, 4?
5.
5. So he's down to 5. So we're going to charge in there and see if we can bonk him a little bit. That's it. So killed some stuff in the middle here. Yeah, just going to do those charges and see what happens. So in the bonk phase, we charged in, we bonked, we were able to take 3 wounds off this Ghost Arc, or Doomsday Arc, but DJ did fail 1 save that would have killed him, but he CP re-rolled it and was successful. So he's still got 2 wounds left here, so Ghost Arc is still alive. These Ophidians wrecked my guys, my last jump intercessor that fell back on the objective, and DJ scooped up the other squad of Ophidians, because that's what Ophidians do. On to his turn.
For this turn, we still have Storm hostile objectives, and we picked up Sabotage. So we picked up the Ophidians, put them back here, and we're going to try and Sabotage. As for everything else, there is targets at the center now. These Terminators still got kind of some distance to move to get to me. They have a 5-inch move, so unless Lane's advancing them, it's going to be really hard for them to get up there and shoot me next turn. These guys have got line of sight on me. Not much I can do about them except possibly shoot back with something like a Doomsday Arc. So we're going to pour a lot of firepower in here, hopefully make some of that go away. Got to get rid of this Librarian, and we got to get rid of these last 2 guys. But the only way I'm going to be able to do that really is charging with the King to try to finish them off. So that's about it. We did move through the wall with this Doomsday Arc, so we will be able to put his cannon towards the center. And, well, we'll see how this goes. Shooting-wise, we picked up a bunch, but not all. The Fortress Kill Team's down to like half. So it looks like we got 2 Plasma and 2 of the rockets in there, though. Terminators still have full rockets. And then the Stern Guard are almost gone, only 1 dude left. So not much of a threat there for the damage side of things, but a big threat as far as secondaries and stuff like that are concerned. The King, we did this because there was only 1. He charged back, tank shocked, hit, and did some damage, and then finished off the last of the Watchmaster, and then moved on the objective. We were able to kill the last of the DeathWatch Marines with the flares over here, and then as you can see what we did shoot and the damage that we did. So the 4-up invuln has been pretty tough. I did get a good round, a good number of dice going into this squad, but not having any rerolls at all did significantly hurt when I got that good number of shots. So that is going to call it a turn. We're going to kick it over to Lane and see how we're going to turn 4. Your turn 4?
Top of 4.
Yep.
No, this is bottom of 4.
Lane,
Yeah.
bottom of 4.
So I pulled Marked for Death and Storm Hostile Objective. I did spend 1 CP to get rid of Storm Hostile because it wasn't really going to happen this turn. I got Containment, so my Rhinoceros over there is going to be able to contain just outside my deployment zone. The Drop Pod is not wholly within 9 of the table edge. He is outside my deployment zone, but he's not wholly within 9. Yeah, so he can't do it. So we'll get 1 contain. Other than that, we oathed this Doomsday Arc because I pulled Mark for Death and DJ marked him, them, and Mr. Silent King. So maybe we'll get some work done into him. We'll see. We got the Heavy Bolter on the Stern Guard. It's his time to pop off those death wounds. It's now. Now's the time. Now's the time. All right, I'm going to do some shooting. Oh, and we also kind of scooch these Terminators here so we can make a charge. I think I need a 7 on the dice to get back there. And they do reroll their charges, so maybe we'll get in there and shut down that sabotage. So let's see what happens. Didn't really do much shooting. I shot this Doomsday Arc with these guys. DJ spent a CP to move him over here, so he's out of being able to be shot by the Terminators or Fortis kill team. They did, so that was really all my shooting. Then these guys did charge in, dinked a couple more wounds off of him. He's only got 4 left, but so it didn't pick up my Marked for Deaths. And then we did make it the charge into here and left 1 of these Ophidians alive. I mean, DJ will be able to, I think, be able to complete his sabotage.
I don't know if he can, end of your turn.
Yeah, I don't know if he can be not battle shocked or what the real deal is.
No, because we're not going to get to that because it's at the end of your turn. So I'll score the 6 on that one.
Okay. And then that's it for my turn. So I just scored 3 for containment. That's it.
This turn, it's Marked for Death and behind enemy lines. So I spent a command point to auto-pass morale here, reanimated 1 of the Ophidians, and then Lane overwatched me. His overwatches have been just absolutely obnoxious and brutal. This guy's down to 1 wound, though. He is not battle-shocked. So at least I will be able to get that 3 points from behind enemy lines. Just let them hang out there. Over here, since this is turn 5, we move the Ophidians out. They're going to charge in here and just try and save the Doomsday Arc, since the Doomsday Arc is a Marked for Death target. And then this one, we advanced it. We moved it. We are going to try and shoot with it at one of my Marked for Death targets, these guys right here. Not going to be able to put a lot of firepower into them. Most likely I'm just going to have to charge them with the King, but the King was not able to fully clear the terrain. So the most he's going to be able to do is shoot at this drop pod, which we're definitely going to shoot at that drop pod. Try and reduce some of Lane's assets for his final turn, where he can score his primary at the end of the phase. So, all right, let's shoot and see what happens. All right, so rolled it all into 1. Shooting phase was a little effective. We did do a good amount of damage here from the Doomsday Arc. Put us in a good position with only a Marine and a character left onto the charge. And we picked up the Marine that was hanging out over here, just leaving the character to get charged by the Ophidians. And we popped the Plasma Sight and finished off the Librarian. So we were able to get our Marked for Death target with the... Oh, and we blew up a drop pod too. Blew up the drop pod just to try and take some assets away from Lane for the endgame scoring. Not going to matter too much. He still does have quite a few things that do stuff with. And yeah, so we picked up what we wanted to pick up this turn. Lane still has Terminators on board, and we'll see how he finishes out his turn 5.
So I held on to Marked for Death, and I pulled Sabotage. My Rhino is going to sabotage over there. He's such a good little boy. And then these Ophidians are a Marked for Death target. So my Terminators are lined up, and the Librarian, they're going to shoot at these guys. I'm going to spend 1 CP on the Strat. Let me see what it's called here. I haven't really used very many of these Librarius strats other than the Psychic Grenades. Prescient Precision. until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack, that attack is the lethal hits ability and the ignores cover ability if the divination discipline is active. Divination is active because that rerolls once to hit and once to wound. So we're going to have lethal hits and ignoring cover, shooting them. Hopefully we pick them up. So yeah, that's the shooting. And then we're going to try to charge the Silent King here. Remember DeathWatch Terminators, when they charge, they make you take a battle shock test. So if he does fail the battle shock test and I get onto this objective, I would then control that objective for end of game. It would give me 5 more primary points. So we'll see if that rule for making battle shock tests for the DeathWatch Terminators, let's see if that finally comes into play here. I will show you what happens. Most importantly, we killed this Ophidian, this pesky Ophidian who did not die before. That was very important. Then we did shoot up the Ophidians here, so we did pick those up from Marked for Death. Give me 5 points for the Marked for Death. Like we said, the Rhino did sabotage there and get on that objective for me as well. Combi Weapon Lieutenant here as well. Terminators did charge after successfully shooting up the Ophidians. The Silent King made his battle shock test with a big old 10. So it didn't really matter there. We punched one of the rocks away, one of the Meniers away. He punched one of my Terminators away. And this is how it will finish off a great battle in the middle of the table here. That was an incredibly close one, guys. Necron detachment, the Starshatter is really strong. And the Librarius definitely has some play too. But final score in the end here comes down to Necrons 77. DeathWatch and the Librarius 82, a very narrow 5-point win for the DeathWatch. Very exciting game. Came down to obviously some really close rolls though, but follow us over to the post-game battle report and we'll discuss it a little bit more. And you'll get to hear me complain about Necrons, even though I won the game. Isn't that great? All right, guys, have a good one.